Precisely 6:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Danushka Madhavela and read by Sharifa Tahir. Headlines. Island-wide travel restrictions now in force have been extended without break until the 14th of this month. The President ordered governors of provinces and district secretaries to support the continuation of the industries and development process uninterrupted. Sri Lanka reported 3,306 new COVID-19 cases and 39 deaths. Sinopharm vaccinations will begin in 12 more districts with effect from the 8th of June. The government decides to open Satosa and cooperative outlets. News overseas, Israel opposition parties agree to form new unity government. Local news in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa yesterday called on governors of provinces and district secretaries not to allow disruption of people's lives and support the continuation of the industries and development process uninterrupted. President Rajapaksa has said that governors and district secretaries should personally intervene to maintain essential services without disrupting the lives of the people. He said that despite the current situation, the country's economy could not be allowed to collapse, and the contribution of all was needed to overcome the challenge and move forward as a country. President Rajapaksa directed the governors and district secretaries to extend their full support to the continuation of the factories and development projects. The President gave these instructions at the monthly meeting with provincial governors and district secretaries at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. The President pointed out the importance of inquiring into the environment that can be maintained in compliance with health recommendations instead of closing a factory or project at once when an infected person is identified in connection with a factory or development project. The challenges and problems faced by the people in the face of travel restrictions were discussed at length at the meeting. President Rajapaksa said that although the government had instructed to maintain industry and essential services in compliance with proper health recommendations, there were reports of shortcomings in the implementation of the program locally. President Rajapaksa instructed to properly implement the mechanism for purchasing surplus fruits and vegetables from farmers and distributing at local level, and emphasized that it was the responsibility of all parties concerned not to allow the agrarian economy to collapse. According to the Epidemiology Unit of the Health Ministry, 3,306 new COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday. All positive cases identified yesterday are from the New Year COVID-19 cluster. According to the Epidemiology Unit report, a total of 192,547 COVID-19 cases have been reported and 30,267 infected patients are being treated at hospitals, while 160,714 patients have fully recovered and been discharged from hospitals. According to the Epidemiology Unit report, so far, a total of 1,766,636 people have received the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine, and 351,017 have received the second dose. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka confirmed 39 deaths due to COVID-19 yesterday. The Director General of Health Services confirmed 39 deaths occurred from 17th May to the 1st of June due to the COVID-19 virus infection. No COVID-19 deaths were reported yesterday. The total number of deaths due to COVID-19 infection in Sri Lanka is 1,566 by now. Sinopharm vaccines will begin in 12 more districts with effect from the 8th of June. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has directed the health authorities to prioritize 3 groups: people over the age of 60, pregnant women, and public sector employees in the inoculation drive. Thereby, the first dose of Sinopharm vaccine will be administered in Matale, Nuwara, Kagol, Trincomalee, Hambantota, Padulla, Anuradhapura, Puttalam, Ampara, Batticlaw, Munaragala and Polannara districts. The Army Chief noted that Grama Niladhara divisions that are at high risk for COVID-19 infection in the mentioned districts will be selected for the inoculation program. State Minister of Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, Professor Channa Jayasumana revealed that Sri Lanka is expecting 2 million doses of China-developed Sinopharm coronavirus vaccine in early June. The first batch of this consignment, containing 1 million Sinopharm jabs, is scheduled to arrive in the country on the 6th of June. In the meantime, the rest of the jabs are expected to be delivered on the 9th of June. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation giving you the news.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
Continuing with more stories here at home. An extraordinary Gazette notification has been issued declaring services offered by Lanka Satosa and cooperative wholesale establishment duties that come under provincial councils and all health services as essential services. According to the Gazette issued by the Secretary to the President, all services necessary or required to be carried out in connection with the supply, storage, distribution and regulatory activities of food, beverages, including all other essential consumable items to the general public that are performed by Lanka Satosa Limited, Cooperative Wholesale Establishment, Food Commissioner Department, Department of Cooperative Development and Cooperative Societies, all services that are performed by or required by government officers under the provincial councils, and all services to be performed or required in connection with health services have been declared as essential services. The Gazette has been issued on the directive of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa in order to prevent any hindrances or disruptions for the conduct of ordinary daily life. The Singapore-registered cargo ship, which caught fire near the Colombo harbour and burnt for nearly 2 weeks, had sunk off the coast of Sri Lanka during the attempt to tow the vessel to deeper waters. Captain Indika De Silva, Navy media spokesman, said towing the ship to the deeper seas was abandoned as the stern of the ship sank to the seabed when it was being towed 500 to 600 metres westward. Express feeders, operators of the container ship Express Pearl, reported that despite salvors successfully boarding the vessel and attaching a tow wire, efforts to move the ship to deeper waters have failed. The operators in an update confirmed that the ship's aft portion is now touching the bottom of the sea at a depth of 21 meters. A Navy spokesman said that several teams, including the Navy and the Ports Authority, were on standby to prevent an oil spill from the ship, and that 3 Indian vessels are also ready to handle the ship. The commander of the Sri Lankan Navy, Vice Admiral Nishantha Ulugethanna, and the commander of the Indian Navy had a discussion on the incident last afternoon. It is reported that the Indian Navy commander has promised to extend further support to Sri Lanka. That's local news.
Finished? You have 1 more hour to write the exam.
Yes, sir. Always early.
Receive early cash advances and an unmatchable bonus at maturity from Sri Lanka Insurance Early Cash.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Commander of the Army and the head of the National Operations Centre for Prevention of COVID-19 Outbreak, General Shavindra Silva, yesterday announced that the island-wide travel restrictions now in force has been extended without a break till 4 a.m. on Monday, the 14th of June, 2021. Earlier, travel restrictions were imposed until June 7th in order to control the third wave of COVID-19. District secretaries and divisional secretaries have been instructed to organize mobile sales services to provide essential food items during the period of travel restrictions so that the public can purchase their needs without leaving home.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And on Watchlight, the consumers complain about the price hikes on some essential goods at some private sales outlets. This has caused immense difficulties to low-income families. The consumers also complain that certain errant traders are exploiting the situation of travel restrictions and increasing the prices at their will. This is for the attention of Consumer Affairs Authority. That came to you on Watchlight. Moving on to world news headlines. Israel opposition parties agree to form new unity government. NASA announces 2 new missions in Venus. Princess Diana's wedding dress going on display at Kensington Palace. World news in detail now. Israeli opposition parties have reached an agreement to form a new government that would end Benjamin Netanyahu's 12-year tenure as Prime Minister. Yair Lapid, leader of the centrist Yesh Atid party, announced an 8-faction coalition had been formed. Under a rotation agreement, the head of the right-wing Yamina party, Naftali Bennett, would serve as Prime Minister first before handing over to Mr. Lapid. There still needs to be a parliamentary vote before the government is sworn in. NASA has announced that it is sending 2 new missions to Venus in order to examine the planet's atmosphere and geological features. The missions, which have been awarded $500 million in funding, are due to launch between 2028 and 2030. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson said the missions would offer the chance to investigate a planet we haven't been to in more than 30 years. The last probe to visit the planet was the Magellan Orbiter in 1990. However, other vessels have made flybys since then. Finally, on world news, the dress that Diana, Princess of Wales, wore on her wedding day 40 years ago is going on display at her former Kensington Palace home. The Dukes of Cambridge and Sussex have loaned the dress to the exhibition, which begins a month before Diana would have turned 60. It was designed by David and Elizabeth Emanuel for the July 1981 wedding. The gown features a 25-feet sequin-encrusted train which filled the aisle of the St. Paul's Cathedral. Organizers of the exhibition, Royal Style in the Making, say the dress is now among the most famous in bridal history. That's on world news. Moving on to development news. As the country experiences an increasing need for oxygen to treat COVID-19 affected patients, the health authorities have conveyed to the Presidential Task Force that a greater need is likely to occur for oxygen. The companies supplying oxygen to the market at present are able to meet the current daily requirements for 90 metric tons. However, in order to ensure no shortages, Litrogas Lanka Limited has been instructed by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa and Bassel Rajapaksa, head of the Presidential Task Force, to set up an oxygen plant and provide a seamless supply of oxygen to meet the need. On sports news, England's countdown to the Euros continued with a narrow win over Austria at Riverside Stadium, but they suffered an injury setback as Liverpool defender Trent Alexander-Arnold limped off late on. Manager Gareth Southgate saw his experimental side secure victory when Arsenal teenager Bukayo Saka crowned a fine move with an angled finish for his first international goal after 56 minutes. Southgate, who named his 26-man squad for the Euros on Tuesday, picked his side with an unfamiliar look as players involved with Manchester United, Chelsea and Manchester City in the Europa League and Champions League finals were not selected, so he will be happy to come out with a win, but is not a convincing display.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
DFCC Bank has launched digital Dansala powered by the DFCC virtual wallet to support local communities affected by COVID-19 pandemic. The digital Dansala program comes to fruition at a time with the spirit of giving and sharing is growing in strength among Sri Lankans as we look for ways to support our brothers and sisters who are bearing the brunt of this adverse situation.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. When your child enters grade of 1,000 rupees open from a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Considering the difficulties faced by the borrowers of licensed banks due to the third wave of COVID-19 pandemic, the central bank has requested licensed commercial banks and licensed specialized banks to provide concessions to affected borrowers. These include deferring recovery of capital, interest, or both on case-by-case basis. With respect to credit facilities that are in the performing category, as at 15th May 2021, to defer recovery of capital, interest, or both on case-by-case basis during the period up to 31st August 2021, considering the financial difficulties of the eligible borrowers.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Prevailing showery condition in the southwestern parts of the country is expected to continue further. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in western, Sabaragamu, northwestern and central provinces and Ingol and Matara districts. Very heavy falls, about 150 millimeters, can be expected at some places in western and Sabaragamu provinces and Ingol, Matara and Nuwara districts. Showers or thunder showers may occur at several places elsewhere during the evening or night. Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Back to the headlines. Island-wide travel restrictions now in force have been extended without break until the 14th of this month. The President ordered governors of provinces and district secretaries to support the continuation of the industries and development process uninterrupted. Sri Lanka reported 3,306 new COVID-19 cases and 39 deaths yesterday. Sinopharm vaccinations will begin in 12 more districts with effect from the 8th of June. The government decides to open Satosa and cooperative outlets. World News: Israel opposition parties agreed to form new unity government. With that, we conclude the morning bulletin of news.